Some devastating news about the economy that prove a point that I've been making for a while now. Vox reports here, when Republicans delivered $1.5 trillion in tax cuts last December and slashed the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%, they said it would come with a big wage boost for American workers. Except it hasn't. Over the weekend, this chart from Bloomberg, showing private data from PayScale's wage index, swept across Twitter. It shows a drop in wages in the second quarter of the year. While wages have risen by 12.9% overall since 2006, wages adjusted for inflation, so-called real wages, have actually fallen by 9.3%. And between the first and second quarters of 2018, after the tax cuts were enacted, wages fell by 1.8%. So take a look at that chart. This blew up on Twitter for understandable reasons. What drives me crazy about this is, remember when we covered the story about how there are elected Democrats who are flummoxed? They don't know how to respond to Trump's economy because they actually think Trump's economy is good. If anything, that shows me Democratic leadership and most of the elected Democrats, they're just uber rich and totally out of touch with their constituents. Because talk to regular people and they have the exact opposite opinion. So, in other words, when Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi hear Donald Trump go on, and the unemployment rate is at a historic low, and the lowest black unemployment rate, lowest Hispanic unemployment rate, he's got all these, talking points where one after the other, boom, boom, boom. Democrats are convinced by his bullshit. They're convinced by his talking points. As if the economy's, really doing great, and everybody's like, oh, this is wonderful, a rising tide lifts all boats. But we know that's not true. Look at what happened with the Bush tax cuts. Look at what happened with Ronald Reagan's tax cuts. It wasn't a rising tide lifts all boats. It's the rich are mega, mega rich, and everybody else is struggling. Unemployment might be low, but that does not account for the underemployed. The wages of the jobs that are being created, it's low-wage jobs. So that's not, how do you not know how to argue against this? They don't know how to argue against this because they don't actually care about this stuff. They're not policy wonks. They're not, deep into foreign policy or economic data. They're just regular people who are narcissistic and self-aggrandizing, and they're mega rich. So they're not regular people. They're mega rich people who are self-aggrandizing, and they just want to be in leadership. And they're beholden to their corporate donors and their billionaire donors. So remember, this news about wages dropping, this is on top of the fact that 93,000 jobs have been outsourced in Trump's first year as president. Now remember, he was Mr. I'm campaigning against outsourcing jobs. He was Mr. Forget TPP, screw NAFTA, screw permanent normal trade relations with China. So the guy who claimed that he was going to keep American jobs in the country, not only have there been 93,000 jobs outsourced, but that's way more than Obama. Obama outsourced 87,000 or something like that. That was his average over his time in office. Not good, and it's not like I'm giving him credit for that. He was a disaster on trade. He signed a bunch of trade deals, Obama did, and that's not talked about often. Donald Trump, 93,000 jobs outsourced. So, he's a fraud. Even when it comes to healthcare. Remember when he said on the campaign trail, we're going to give everybody healthcare? People were like, how are you going to do that? He was like, new phone, who dis? I don't know what that means. What's healthcare? What does that mean? 3 million people have lost healthcare in his first year in office because of all of his executive orders that try to destroy Obamacare without officially destroying Obamacare. That's what those executive orders are. That's what they do. They got rid of the individual mandate, and they underfunded the shit out of the aspects of Obamacare that needed funding. So 3 million people lost healthcare, 93,000 jobs outsourced, wages are down. It's almost like that tax cut was for the mega rich. Did you know that over a 10-year period, 83% of the benefits of the tax cut go to the top 1%? 83%. This was a giveaway to corporations. Mr. Anti-Establishment is the biggest puppet of the establishment you can ever imagine. That's what the facts show. Now, hopefully some Democrats who are elected come across this and they learn a thing or two about how to rebut this moron.